Thank you for calling the Starfinder Helpdesk. Go King speaking. You're having trouble with Starship combat? I think I can help you with that. Welcome back everybody to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a sort of cheat sheet video for the Game Master to use during Starship combat. Because Starship combat being a rule set a lot of us don't interact with as often, it can be difficult to remember the rules, even if they are well designed. The name in the game for this will be Simplify. Simplify things that your players aren't going to notice. My first piece of advice is to simplify your skill bonuses. Any individual ship, it's going to have a section where it describes the crew, and it'll show you what skills they have and how many ranks they have in that skill. What I'm going to say is only use one skill bonus. The only time I would ever suggest using different bonuses for the different crew roles is if the players have met these characters, if they've interacted with them, if they've had combat with them on the ground, if these are reoccurring enemies that they know. Otherwise, just use one bonus. My second tip, this is especially important if you've got a big ship with a crew member in each role for the Starship. Pick 1 to 2 of the actions that are available to that crew member, and those are the only ones that are going to use that combat. Either take a note of them on a cheat sheet, or study them so you know what they do, and then during combat, with less options to pick from, you will be able to respond faster. What I will say is every time you do a different ship, pick different actions. This way, each enemy ship they encounter has a personality. They have a tactic. And this also applies if you're running multiple ships against your party. And if you are running multiple ships against your party, I would heavily suggest that they be small ships with only a few crew members. That way you're not multiplying how much you have to do. And in this case, pick mostly just one type of action for each of the crew members on the ship. My third tip, study the phases of combat. And this is really, really important. And not just the 3 phases, but what happens during those phases and the few things that happen outside those phases. The first phase of Starship combat is the engineering phase. And in this phase, you have your engineers and your magic officers who take their actions. Your next phase is your helm phase. And during this phase, you call for initiative, you have your pilot act, and you have your science officer act. And I think there would be merit in this situation to separating your call for initiative from the helm phase and having it apply beforehand. Because calling for initiative every round isn't something you do in normal combat. A note about initiative is the higher roll goes last. Getting a better initiative means you move your ship after your opponent. That's notable because that's not how it works in normal combat. And the reason we do that in Starship combat is because facing and position are very important in Starship combat. Your final phase is your Gunnery Phase, which again, I believe this is one where splitting it has merits. And that's because no matter how much damage the gunner of either ship does, damage doesn't get applied until both ships have fired. So it would seem, for similar reasons to initiative, it would seem a good idea to separate damage as its own phase after the gunnery phase. And again, if you do it consistently, it'll help your players know what to expect and be able to act more accurately and more quickly in combat. Your captain and your chief mate are the roles in Starship combat that can act during any phase because their roles are supporting. They help out their crewmates. Check out the player videos for a more detailed look at each of these Starship roles. Definitely, I'll be able to get much more detail into them. I will do a video for each of the crew roles as well as one for the open crew actions. And I'll do a video for minor crew actions specifically, so you get a better look at those. There is an awesome cheat sheet for Starfinder Combat that I found on Reddit. I will link to it in the description. I am also going to link an updated version of it with the errata from the Character Operations Manual on my Discord. I want to credit the original creator, but I do think you should have the updated one. So I have edited it myself, and the updated version will be on my Discord. I will have a link to both of those in the description. Let's take a look at some of the things we will do to take a ship already built and statted out for us, either in an adventure or in one of the rule books, and modify it so that you can run it more efficiently. An example for what I would do to make this ship run smoother. The first thing I want to do is take a look at my crew and simplify what I have here. The captain uses their diplomacy for most things unless they want to specifically aid one of the other stations and get a slightly lower DC. That's great for the players to know. It's excess information for us. It doesn't help very much as a game master. So the only thing you really need to know for your game master is the diplomacy check. As you see, +9, the engineer has a +9, the science officer has a +9 in their computers, the pilot has a +10, and the 2 gunners each have a +6. +9 is the commonality here, and I think it would be fair to make it a +9 across the board. The pilot is a little less likely to win their piloting checks, and specifically the initiative. However, the gunners are going to hit a little more often. So that makes it a little easier that you can just put a +9 for all your bonuses, and that'll help you run Starship Combat faster. Second detail is to keep in mind what crew members you have and what they're going to be doing. In this case, the captain actions we're going to choose will be encourage and taunt. Good information to know. Look deeper into those when you're preparing your fight, and then you use only those during the fight. Our engineer. Let's pick the divert action. We're just going to pick one action for them because why not? One action keeps things speedy. Divert is always useful. Our gunners, obviously they know how to fire a gun, but you might choose one more type of action, say fire at will. Next, we have our pilot. Obviously, they have to know how to use the fly, but maybe you want them to have maneuver. And if they succeed maneuver, then the distance between their turns is reduced, so they're a little faster at turning. And lastly, but not least, we have the science officer. And maybe they want to scan their enemy. Maybe they want to balance the shields. Give them both. It can't hurt. That's an example of how I would set up an enemy starship to be used against my players. First, simplify the bonus to just one, and then pick specific actions for each crew member. So I don't have to try and remember all the actions they have access to only the most important ones for this specific ship. Thank you for calling the help desk. This has been Goat King.